Welcome back to MMA Unleashed, where fight fans get their real stories, raw drama, and all the latest news from the octagon and beyond. Today, let's get started with the UFC didn't want Merab Dvalishvili to be a champion. Even though Merab Dvalishvili's defended the title 3 times this year, he's still hoping to fight again before the end of the year. And before we continue, make sure to leave a like on the video to help support the channel. With how active he's been, it's hard to imagine a world where the UFC wouldn't want him to be the champion. But according to his coach, John Wood, at one point in time, that was the case. During an interview with Mike Bone this week, Wood reflected on how the UFC never wanted Merab to be a champion. The UFC did not want that guy to be champion. They really didn't. But Merab has developed himself into being an entertaining fighter. 10 fights ago, no one would have guessed. Holy, he's almost knocking guys out or submitting Sean Ali and running through opponents who were supposed to be more skilled, bigger, and longer. He's just doing special things right now. So far, no word yet from the UFC on whether Dvalishvili will fight on the UFC 323 card set to take place December 6th. The champion, however, is already making it clear he plans to use his championship privilege and get himself a spot on that card. Roger Jackson pleads not guilty for Psycho Stu situation. On Thursday, Rampage Jackson's son, Roger Jackson, plead not guilty to felony and misdemeanor battery charges stemming from his altercation with Psycho Stu. According to MMA Fighting, Jackson returned to court this week after posting bail back in September. If convicted of the 2 charges, which include what MMA Fighting calls a sentencing enhancement for allegedly causing greater bodily damage, Jackson could be imprisoned for up to 7 years. As a result of the situation, Stu has dealt with facial fractures and the loss of several teeth, constituting the greater bodily injury. Since his immediate reaction on kick right after the incident, Jackson has not spoken publicly about the situation. Stay tuned for updates as they become available. Ciryl Gane talks about mindset ahead of Tom Aspinall fight. After coming up short in title fights against Francis Ngannou and John Jones, Ciryl Gane has shifted his mindset, putting his entire focus into finally winning UFC gold. During an interview with the National News, he explained how he's confident and dialed in. "I'm confident about this fight. I don't want to talk about what will happen after the fight. I want this belt, and I'm doing my best in camp for that. Everybody knows my strength already. I can move very well, and I can manage the distance very well. My striking is high level. I'm not focused on social media or the people outside. I'm focused on my family, friends, team, and my goal. This is a different mindset." Throughout Gane's career, the only 2 losses on his record are the 2 title fight losses to Jones and Ngannou. While grappling proved to be his kryptonite in both of those performances, this time the challenger is hoping he can get his hands on the heavyweight belt. UFC updates. With the UFC Rio card right around the corner, let's take a look at today's UFC updates. We got a new addition to the UFC 322 card on November 15th at MSG, with Malcolm Wellmaker set to fight Sirhay City. Wellmaker's looking to extend his record to 11-0, while City's going to be looking to build on a 2-fight win streak. In other news, on the heels of her UFC 320 win over Macy Chiasson, who missed weight for Saturday's fight, Jana Santos opened up on how the UFC pressured her to fight opponents who have missed weight in the past. During an interview with MMA Fighting, she explained, "A couple fights ago, when my opponents missed a lot of weight and we were thinking, should we take that fight or not? The UFC made it very clear that the person who will be punished is me if I refuse to fight. So I'm not getting paid. I have a chance to be cut and all these things. It's like the opponent who missed weight is not going to have a problem. It's me that has problems. So I can't see that as an option. It is what it is. If I want to keep my job, I have to fight." As she went on to explain, she's seen other fighters like Leslie Smith turn down fights with opponents who come in overweight and then wind up getting cut. We've also got an update on Frankie Edgar, who was pulled from his BKFC fight last week at the last minute. As Dave Feldman told MMA Fighting, Edgar still got paid. "Honestly, I don't even know if he even wants to fight with us again. I think he's a little upset with us, as maybe he should be. But at the end of the day, we were looking out for his best interests. He's getting a very, very respectable check. I don't think he's mad at us for that." And last, but certainly not least, Mike Tyson took a shot at the UFC's pay structure this week during an interview with Fat Joe, saying he never would have wanted to fight in the UFC. "You in your prime, you would have been a UFC fighter or something like that. Because then listen, the biggest UFC, 5 of the biggest UFC fighters combined can't match my pay. That's just it. It wasn't worth the pay. No, I want to be the biggest fighter, the biggest purse. I want all that stuff, my text and flights. he shuts everything down. The biggest, as Eric McGracken wrote in response. Well said, Mike. And that's thanks to the Ali Act. Protect the Ali Act. Expand the Ali Act. Please sign the petition. Daniel Cormier says, Alex Petta can be UFC GOAT if he beats John Jones. Dana White may not have been a big fan of the idea of Alex Petta moving up to heavyweight to fight John Jones in a super fight. However, Daniel Cormier thinks that if the two do fight and Petta does win, he'll surpass Jones as the greatest fighter of all time. During a recent video for his YouTube channel, he explained why the big fight matters to these dudes. Alex is 38 years old and probably thinking at this point, how do I go and make another statement that I am the guy? Hell, if he went to beat John Jones at heavyweight, Alex Pereira, who's already considered one of the greatest fighters of all time in the most expedited timeline I have ever seen, would literally cement himself to almost stand above everyone because he would have beaten a former UFC light heavyweight champion and heavyweight champion and a guy many considers the greatest fighter of all time. While there are plenty of fighters and fight fans who are doubting whether Petta can hang with the heavyweights, Laura Senko explained to Mike Bond that she wants to see the champion pursue what would be UFC history if he's able to win a third title in another division. For Alex, he's already doing such extraordinary things. I feel like we are fans. We want to see how far he can push the envelope. How extraordinary can he be? Yes, I would like to see him at some point. I don't know if it's next because I would love to see that Carlos fight, but at some point I've got to see him at heavyweight. Considering everything Jones and his family have been going through, it's no surprise we haven't heard anything from him about a possible fight. Demetrius Johnson makes $10,000 bet with Dylan Dennis. Dylan Dennis may not be in the UFC, but after returning to MMA and submitting Warren Spencer in just 15 seconds, he's as confident as ever. During an appearance on Demetrius Johnson's YouTube channel this week, the former flyweight champion made a bet with Dennis, who said he has what it takes to beat Hamza Chimaev. Do I go with UFC? I could beat Islam. I could beat John Jones. I could beat all these guys. Like who's the 85 champ? I'm a middleweight champion right now as JD. No, middleweight is what's his name? Hamza. Oh, please give me Clifford. What makes you think you could beat him? He would ragdoll you. You want to bet? I would bet you every money in my bank account gets your bank account that I'd be his. Well, when you fight, you know, I'll put just for the spite. How confident you are. I'm going to throw $10,000 on Hamza Shea. Yeah, why not? That's 10,000. No, actually, you know, maybe my story to you. Because the odds I'll go 50,000 against 50,000. 50,000 versus 50,000. Well, first you got make it there. Okay. No, but we'll make it there. Trust me. Don't worry. When you believe it in yourself as much as me, you know, I'll get there. Trust me. Hey, I like the convention. Look at Dorino. The way that he fought Cosma is the way that you beat him. You have to have good jiu-jitsu. You can't turtle and then go against the fence. You're going to get stuck there all day. You have to play guard against him, and no one in the division has a good guard. The only person that has a chance is RDR, because he has good jiu-jitsu, but it would be easy fight for me. I would submit him off my back easily. Although Dennis is just 3-0 in his pro career and has just one fight in the past 5 years, it sounds like his antics outside of the cage have prevented him from signing with the UFC. As he explained, he even offered to be on The Ultimate Fighter, but Hunter Campbell wasn't interested. Hunter said that I was going to punch someone in the house and just get out and use it for clout or something like that. That was kind of like his thing. He was like, just tell him to get more fights. They're scared that I'm just going to be too crazy. The whole Logan buildup was crazy. I hit him with a microphone and all that, and I think they think that I'm going to bring that to the UFC, where it's like a totally different game. That's why this time, I was a little bit more calm to show them that I can be respectful and I can do that. But obviously when someone hits you in the nuts with a bottle, I'm going to throw a mic at their face. I don't know. I think they're just scared of me. Dana White even said he's always getting in trouble. Like every time I go somewhere, I get into fights with people. But at the end of the day, they're UFC fighters. They have security, and I'm there by myself. And they're going to attack me. I'm going to fight back. I'm not going to just sit there and take it. So far, no word yet on when Dennis will be back in action. However, it sounds like he's going to fight Eddie Hall in late 2025 or early 2026. Joe Piper reveals the message to Dana White following UFC win. After his big win on Saturday night, Joe Piper turned heads with his post-fight Octagon interview and his cage-side exchange with Dana White during an appearance on the Ariel Helwani show this week. Piper dished on the situation, clarifying that his comments about hearing people say he's scared were aimed at matchmaker Mick Maynard, whom he says started the narrative that he was afraid to fight Abu Magomedov when he turned down the fight following back surgery. I also didn't like the narrative that I was afraid to fight him, so after I won, I was screaming at Mick that he was wrong and I'm not scared of and blah 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 blah. It was kind of a told you so type of way. It definitely could have come out the wrong way. I was a little butth toward Mick because I don't like people thinking I'm scared. I was never really that mad about it. Obviously it bothered me a little bit because again, I'm not afraid of anybody, and if it makes sense, I'll fight anybody. Dana had no idea that's how I felt about it. He was like, I thought you were reading our texts. I told him a deal and whatnot. I don't like people thinking that I'm scared of anybody. Well, there have been rumblings of a fight between Pyre and Paulo Costa. Piper made it clear he's not interested. I'm not willing to take that fight because I think Paulo Costa is so inactive. He's got a lot going on. I don't really think it does much for me. Fighting a guy like Marvin Vettori, Jared Kander, Roman Doit, these guys are active. These guys are hungry. These guys are fighting. I think that makes a lot of sense for me. Whether he gets his wish, we'll have to wait and see. Peter Yan talks about Merab Davili on the heels of Merab Dalisi's big win on Saturday night. The champion made it clear that he's hoping to fight once more before the end of this year. According to Peter Yan, that timeline sounds good to him. While speaking on the Arrow Hawani show this week, Yan spoke about a possible rematch in December. If it lines up with the UFC's plans, I think it's possible. I've been waiting for this chance, and I'm ready to fight in December. I believe it's going to be a great fight. Yen also spoke about how he was only 50% in the first fight because of a hand injury. The way he sees things, anyone who goes back and rewatches the fight will see he wasn't 100%. If you just look at the stats, you can see that I only used my right hand 3-4 times. I couldn't punch with my right hand. I also couldn't use it to defend the wrestling. Those are just facts. When you compare to my different fights, that's the hand I use the most. Whether or not Merab defends the title a fourth time this year, Daniel Cormier thinks his win over Corey Sandhagen makes him the bantamweight GOAT. During this week's episode of Good Guy Bad Guy, DC explained why. And I believe without a shadow of a doubt. Look man, all credit to the great Dominique Cruz, being the one that I believe was the greatest bantamweight of all time by far. When you combine everything he did in the WC and everything he did in the UFC, there is no doubt in my mind that Merab Dvalishvili is the greatest bantamweight that has ever fought in the UFC channel. And I don't know, the history of the game a little better than me, but from my eyes, I've never seen anybody better in this weight class. Dana White forced a cancel UFC Rio fight. This weekend's UFC Rio card has lost a highly anticipated fight between Johnny Walker's brother, Walter Walker, and Kamaru Usman's brother, Muhammad Usman. According to a report from MMA Fighting, Usman's been forced out of the fight with Walker left without an opponent right before weigh-ins. Brazilian reporter La Riviana corroborated the story with a post on social media writing, "Important drop on the UFC Rio card. Muhammad Usman got injured and is out of the fight against Villar. Walker, we still don't have information on whether the organization will manage to find a new opponent for the Brazilian. What a bummer, my friends." Adam Martin added, "Damn, lost a fight for UFC Rio. Assuming Walker winds up not being able to fight on the card, look for the UFC to book him another fight sooner rather than later, given all the hype surrounding him after his back-to-back submission wins this year." In the heavyweight division, please welcome to the scale V.A. Walker is ready for the mother war. I train a lot for this fight, and this mother learn. I just want nice to have seen for me a opportunity for fight against, because my Dream 46, my Dream Fighter 24, the number 15 ranked Ha Walker, look at that shape in the head, the best bishop. Drop your takes in the comments. I read every single one. Smash that like button if you enjoyed the breakdown, subscribe for more MMA content, and hit that bell so you don't miss the next update. Thanks for watching, stay safe, and enjoy the fights!